The Angels have basically, Mike Trout went back on the IL. He's not coming back this season. Like, that's not going to happen. This is a lot of the productive, impactful players on the team that were being fielded are now not going to be on the team. Everybody else can kind of like pick and choose what players that they want, including starting pitchers, including like their only valuable relievers. Okay. You're telling me that all that's going to happen and they're going to tell Ohtani to play the rest of the year with a torn UCL? They're going to tell him to do that? Now, the answer to that could be, this organization is so stupid. The answer is yes. Like, yeah, they're going to tell him to get out there. They need to sell tickets. He's the draw. Could be true. Could be true. If you think that this precludes, or this is the first domino, and the next domino is he's not playing the rest of the season because there's no chance we're making the playoffs and we just sold everybody. If you think that he's out, there is a market open for who is going to hit the most home runs this year. If you are watching this on video, the market literally just animated and there has been a massive price correction. So like, hey, you know who else is thinking about this stuff? Everyone else. Like, how do the Angels do this and tell Ohtani, go get out there, buddy, we're trying to win, and he's a free agent? Are you serious? All right, I'm sitting out. I'm out. It doesn't have to happen. If you think that that's going to happen and Ohtani's not going to play the rest of the year, the bet is Matt Olson to lead the league in home runs because Matt Olson is going to play the rest of the year. And the two are very close statistically right now. And like, Ohtani's not. So like, again, if you knew Ohtani wasn't going to play starting tomorrow, what would the true prices in this market be? Matt Olson minus 700 and then Pete Alonso in second? Something like that? And he's not. And the reason why I know this is probably a good idea is this board is going crazy everywhere right now. And by the way, Matt Olson it's very interesting. But yet, you have to think Ohtani's out, though. Like, maybe there's such a bad organization that they're like, hey, man, I know we just like signaled to everyone that we're completely toast, but like, and you're such a good guy. Can you just like go bat DH every night? Like, really? That's what's happening? So you have to think that he's going to, that's what it has to lead to. You could also just say to yourself, the guy has a torn UCL. I'd rather bet Matt Olson anyway. That's a pretty good thought too. But like, it's only interesting because it's like, they're really just going to play Ohtani. Like, they're really just going to do that? And if they don't play him, then Olson is much more likely to lead the league in home runs. So, like, that is the affected market. My guess is that price is, I mean, it's been going crazy for 10 minutes. It's going to keep moving, probably. If you think they're going to play Ohtani, don't make the bet. And maybe come back and play Ohtani. Yeah. And he's in the lineup for today's game, which Tyler points out. But, like, they also just did this. So I don't know, like, I don't know if there is a plan other than like we have to cut it, like let's cut a bunch of money because we're not going to make the playoffs. The entire story of his season has been that he's a little different than these other guys. He doesn't face the order the third time through. I mean, we've been over this a bunch of times. He walks a ton of guys. He doesn't go deep in any game that he pitches in, with very few exceptions, last night being one of two, and which taxes the bullpen a little bit more for like your ace pitching, right? And okay, like the time he does pitch, he's exceptional. But that usually a winner doesn't look like that. And so that's always why I preferred anyone else, basically, to him. And just to give you, like, just so you know, like, I'm not crazy. So again, like, what Ken thinks is going to happen, maybe you don't care about that anymore because Ken's not winning in Cy Young this year. Want to know the number one reason why Blake Snell is an unappealing candidate for me. WHIP is a statistic that obviously measures walks plus hits per innings pitched. So, like, you got a guy who's getting in a lot of jams, even if he's getting out of them. That's going to show up in this. If you walk a lot of guys, that's going to show up in this. All that stuff shows up in even if you're getting out of the jams, that shows up in this. Like, dominance almost is what it measures. How many clean innings you got? How many, like, are you getting into jams all the time? Are you not going deep in games? This is where it would show up. Okay. In the AL and NL, the last 30 years, here are the ranks in WHIP in their respective league of the pitcher who won Cy Young. We'll do the NL first. Sixth, second, first, second, first, third, first, second. Let's do the AL for a second. Ranks and WHIP in the league by the winner. First, second, sixth, first, fourth, second, forced? Is that a word? Fourth, first, yep, second, first, second. Great. Get the idea. Blake Snell this year, WHIP, National League, 16th. You're me, and you know that. What are you going to think about this market? Like, you can think whatever you want of me. Hear that. Look at this market. What would you think?
Well, just from being on here, like, I don't think he can win. Like, when you look at the numbers historically, I'm just trying to explain. It's like, I'm not, just so you know, like, I'm not crazy. Like, this is what it is. You tell me. But if we think
if we think he's not playing for the Colts this year, does that do something for you in terms of like projecting them? I think their win total is what, like 7 consensus right now, something like that. Alex, put the MGM Colts win total in the chat just so we can quote them too. Like, does that make you want to bet something knowing that he may not be on the team the whole year?
No, I think it's something where you might want to look at, like some people may look at season long. Some people may jump to week 1. I'm not jumping on the Jags in week 1 in a divisional game against an opponent like this. It's just, I don't know that I'm going to be there betting that and seeing any sort of value because Jonathan Taylor's not playing. I do think it's their best weapon on offense, but still, it's the running game. And what's their running back room look like? Don't they have? They had
Deion
the kid
Jackson
they got from
is their starter. That's their their projected starter.
What about the kid from the Bills? Didn't he break his arm?
Yeah, Zach Moss.
Moss, yeah, he broke his arm, but he should be back, I think, for the season. So that's an ugly running back room unless Deion Jackson pans out. But
6.5 with the MGM win total juiced over. So I said 7 consensus. I think it's kind of like 6.5, 7, depending on where you go.
Yeah, man, I'm still thinking under on that. But
if you had to bet 6.5, what would you do right now? Under? It sounds like you were about to say.
I'd go under, but I don't. Oh, man, I just feel like the number's right. I feel like this is probably a 7-win team. But I'd probably still go under with all the things that could go wrong. They're just in a really crappy division, and I wouldn't be shocked to see them go, split in their division, go 4-0 or 4-2 in their division. They beat Jacksonville once every year. Jacksonville gets them. Maybe this is the year that Jacksonville, pulls away. And they've always had Houston's number, especially at home. Yeah.
So, look, if they finally did it and they made it, would I be shocked? No. Would I ever bet it at the price it's being offered at? Not on your life. Would I ever bet the win total? I wrote about this too, and I'm gonna end up betting this under, and I'm trying to wait on this too for the last second because I do think there is a ton of optimism. ESPN did the game day week 0 they do from the studio. Obviously, they don't go on the road; they'll go on the road this week, and everybody on the panel picked Texas to win the Big 12 this year. And I'm not saying like you make a bet because of that, but what I do think that tells you is there's a lot of optimism among everybody about what Texas is going to do this year. Maybe that optimism could drive this price up like I'll even a little bit more. 10 with a bunch of juice is like a certified banger. I mean, you just can't. It's like Florida State. You just can't. You go to bed dreaming at night for things like Texas 10 to bet the under on. 9.5 with a plus. I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's great. I'm like 9.2, 9.3, and I like Texas. Like, I bumped them this year, and I still don't get to 9.5 or 10 as a really likely outcome. They're the most likely outcome, so it's going to be under. The size of the bet will be dictated by whether there is movement in the next 2 days. But I think having something on under on Texas is a pretty good idea. Just like the expectation can't. I think Quinn Ewers is awesome. I think he can win the Heisman. Arch Manning's cool. He's also not going to play this year. Yeah, there's other. Xavier Worthy might win the Biletnikoff Award. There's like lots of cool things going on with Texas. There were also lots of cool things going on with Texas last year and the year before and forever ago for 15 years. So just like, I need to like not get. You can't get suckered in by these like sex appeal of the Texas brand and wanting to bet this team to make the playoff or whatever. I think it's much more likely that they're just like either like good or pretty good or something, and they end up like everything else. So can make the playoff. Would never bet it. 9.5 plus worth something, not a lot. 10 worth a whole bunch, and we'll see if we get there.